What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. Now, in this video, we're going to be covering the full story of Dead X-Men. This story coming out of the fall of the House of X. We follow Prodigy, Frenzy, and the others as they hunt down Moira in the timelines. The entire goal is for Prodigy to absorb as much information from Moira as possible so that they can end all of this war. They are doing this with the help of Rachel Summers. She is the one teleporting them from one timeline to another. But along the way, they run into a cyborg Moira, and this cyborg Moira is able to get loose, break through the timelines. And now the Dead X-Men must hunt her down, prevent her from changing the timeline. While they do all of this, there is a much bigger thing going on in play. Charles Xavier is making moves to get to a young Moira. Everyone believes that they are going to talk to her, but the truth is, Charles has every intention of killing Moira. So as we watch the Dead X-Men fight for their lives, fight for the existence of this reality, of this timeline. Make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with the team that is chosen. We don't get much backstory on where they were during the fall of X, but standing before us is Prodigy, Frenzy, Jubilee, Dazzler, and Cannonball. And they have just teleported into a location known as Moira Engine 3.9. This is one of the failed Moira timelines. One of the ones that Sinister had done, one of his creations. A timeline that was abandoned. With them arriving, it is 1 month after magic had taken over, ascended to Lord of all Hells. As soon as they see her, they know that this is not where they need to be. With a giant surge of energy, we see them pulled out of this timeline and thrown somewhere else. They are thrown to Krakoa. Currently held inside the White Hot Room. As the team lands, we see Rachel Summers contacting them. She is the one helping transport them. And in this case, she is technically the leader of the team, guiding them exactly where they need to go. But she is at no place X. Nowhere, no when. Here in this place, it is taking all of her focus to communicate with them and transport them. She knows that they linger in these timelines, they're gonna draw unwanted attention. While they have this conversation, we also learn that Rachel has been really unlocking the powers of Prodigy. The blocks that he had in his mind are no longer there. And so he is getting faster and faster at detecting where Moira might be, because that is exactly what they're doing. They are trying to hunt down Moira. They need one version of her that is just a human or mutant, a Moira without all the robotic parts. That way that Prodigy can lift this information that Xavier needs, mapping out all of Moira's mental mind, all of her past, because Xavier's plan, he tells everybody, is to talk to Moira, that he wants to talk to her before her powers manifest, and maybe he can change things. But we know that Xavier's plans, you could say that they are much more sinister than that. Rachel also lets them know that they are running out of Moira Engine pathways. Sinister only made so much of these abominations. If they don't find what they're looking for on the next jump, they might not find it at all. This is what takes us to Moira Engine 2.4, 15 years after the end of Earth. Our team shows up and they immediately start gasping for air. Lucky for them, there is an X-Men team here. Remaining survivors left over after everything was destroyed. We have Armor, Rootfire, Random, Blink, and Abigail Brand. Abigail Brand and her X-Men team take them to the final mutant refuge, Akanti-born Araco, the living island floating through space. And our X-Men team is telling Abigail Brand that they are friends, that they are working on the same team. Right now, Prodigy is struggling. Anytime he is around new people, he absorbs their knowledge. he absorbs their skills. He used to have limitations, but Rachel removed them. She did it for this mission. And Prodigy, he knows what happened to this Earth. Abigail Brand got what she wanted. Intergalactic war. Except Orbis Stellaris, he was pulling all of the strings that Abigail Brand thought she was pulling. A wormhole strike vaporizing Krakoa. 92% of all life on Earth snuffed out in a moment. Arakko attacked just in case there was a notion of revenge. And what was left of mutant kind scattered across the stars. Abigail Brand manipulated into the downfall of all humanity. But Frenzy goes on to say that there is nothing that we can tell you about our mission or why we are here. With paradoxes and everything in between, they might be talking too much as it is. But their clock is ticking and they gotta get back. This is when they are attacked. Orbis might have wiped out Nimrod and the other AIs aligned with Orcus, but there is still the Phalanx. With the other AIs not in the picture, they filled the void. And on this last mutant refuge is the last bit of Mysterium left in all the universe. As the Phalanx jump on board, Abigail Brand and her X-Men team, they fight for their lives. They die on their feet and they take as many as they can along with them. Frenzy and her team, they know their mission. Though they would want to help in this situation, they know that whatever happens here, it already happens. Their mission is to find Moira. Luckily for Abigail Brand, she's got a little bit of help from the Starjammers. Warbird, Smasher, Mercury, Lockheed, Sunspot, Juggernaut, they're all here and they're ready to fight. And so as we watch Frenzy and her team make a getaway, Prodigy, he can feel Moira nearby. And in this comic, we do have a transcript between Charles and Rachel. Charles didn't expect for Rachel to form up this team. She knew that sending off-the-chart powerhouses would be too risky. The Dominion might be able to sense this, figure out what they're doing. Dazzler, Jubilee, Frenzy, Sam, they're experienced, they're committed. And at the end of the day, they are X-Men. Prodigy being mission critical to all of this. His psychic absorption, it is a passive ability. They are hoping that Moira will not be prepared for this, that she might be prepared for somebody poking around her brain, somebody like Betsy Braddock. But a passive ability of just absorbing all of their thoughts and skills, this might throw her off her game. As we pick up with Warbird and Smasher, Orbis is coming in on them, and Warbird and Smasher, they break right through this ship. While Orbis is being taken care of, we head back down to Frenzy. They got a whole bunch of trouble of their own, and that is the Phalanx. Not only that, but all the ship debris is falling from the sky, and a piece of crystal finds itself impaled into Prodigy's suit. As they try to get the crystal out of his chest, this is where somebody comes in on them. Cannonball, seeing this, he takes the opportunity to strike. And when he strikes, this cloaked individual is revealed to be Moira. As we see what is left of Moira, missing arm, barely alive, wheezing. That's when Prodigy begins to absorb, and he absorbs everything. In a matter of seconds, he has a full map of Moira's past. All of it. Not just her 10th life like they were looking for. She got every single life. They can go anywhere, any when. They can stop the Dominion before it is born. Calling out to Rachel, we see the team teleported out of here, but left behind is the crystal. This is exactly what Moira came for. Abigail Brand tries to stop her, but she is no match for Moira. She has been building a weapon, adamantium, vibranium coating, and also carbonadium. Because that crystal she had been looking for, it was a piece of Mysterium, the missing ingredient for her ultimate weapon. Now she has everything she needs to cut a path all the way back to her first life, to start all the way over again, ensuring that Moira will always win. As the comic closes out, we do get a little understanding of Weapon M components. The weapons that she is forging, the carbonadium coil, harvested from Omega Red, who somehow survived the end of the world. Moira lost body parts in trying to take him down, but now she's got it fused to her own spine. The adamantium-coated femur, collected from one of Wolverine's bodies, and she even says that those things are just lying around. She also has Jean Zorn's severed head. Now she can generate a black hole and reach past lives. The vibranium reinforcement, dug out of Gentle's remains. She needed vibranium to bind the weapon together, and she's glad that she didn't have to go all the way to Wakanda to collect it. And of course, then there is Mysterium, highly efficient, radiation-proof conductivity. Properties no one on Earth or the stars above have completely figured out. Near impossible to find. Until now. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we pick up on Island M. Above the island, there is a giant tear in the sky, in space-time itself. On the ground, we have Metallo, we have Stinger, Quill, Tower, and Toad. But as quickly as we see them, is as quickly as they get incinerated. Absolutely decimated. Moira comes in, and Tower is the first one she rips through. Our refugee from a dead timeline, the mostly human Moira, wielding her weapon in one hand, missing the other arm. She is able to cut through these guys like they are absolutely nothing. This was Moira's 8th life, which means she is slowly but surely making her way back. This means that the dead X-Men are on a time crunch. They don't know it yet, but they are about to be royally screwed. This is what picks us up with our dead X-Men: Jubilee, Prodigy, Frenzy, Cannonball, and Dazzler. And we have Rachel here as well, letting them know that their mission was a success. They pulled it off. Now it is up to Xavier to meet up with Moira before her powers manifest. But all the engine timelines are dead ends. What Prodigy wants to do is not go to the Moira engine timelines, they want to go to Moira's past lives, to defunct realities. She doesn't even know if it would be possible to do this, not even from outside of time and space. But Prodigy says that they can't leave any options on the table. The knowledge that he could possibly absorb from those Moira timelines could be instrumental into defeating a Dominion. The key could be out there simply waiting for them, though it may be uncharted waters. Everything is on the line. This is something that they have to try. With Rachel telling them she can't send them to a specific location. This would be almost at random. They do have the mental map of Moira, though her mind, it was really warped. So they may not get an exact date, an exact place. With the No Place X under attack, they have no choice but to do it now or never. Rachel shoots them off, and we jump into one of Moira's past lives at Washington, D.C. We have Ultron Sentinels that are attacking everybody and everything. Now, Prodigy has had this mysterious little rock in his chest. Usually, all of these mines is too much for him, but right now, he's good. His powers are completely under control as our team begins to take on some of these Ultron Sentinels. Prodigy absorbs so much information from Moira, he needs to figure out what timeline they landed in. As he starts to go through a local newspaper, this is where he finds out that they are in Moira's 7th life. She spent her life trying to wipe out the Trask bloodline to prevent the Sentinels from ever being created. Unfortunately, it didn't stop the creation of the Sentinels, it only stopped who was going to create the Sentinels. They are about 10 years out from her death and reality resetting, but this is when they all hear something saying, "Pull us out." They know that this wasn't Rachel, it was nearby, and so they go to the rubble to begin to look around. And what they find is Emma Frost carrying Betty, bloody and beaten. Emma Frost doesn't seem to remember who they are, but she shows them what happened to her. 20 minutes prior, they were having a hearing about the Sentinels, about what might happen, Emma Frost being here as the opposition. But that is when our refugee from a dead timeline, Moira, attacks. Wielding her battle axe, she strikes down as many foes as she can. It is an absolute bloodbath. They know that this was the Moira from the engine timeline, on the destroyed Earth, and Prodigy has no memory of her. He knows that they changed her path. They caused this Moira to be going through her past lives, trying to get life number 1. Now they're hoping that maybe this won't matter in the long run, that this world ends soon, and so maybe none of this really counts. Now the Moira engine clone timelines, they were dead offshoots of their reality. But Moira, the real Moira, remembers all of her lives. There is no precedent for what happens if these timelines change. The ramifications could be unthinkable. The insane version of Moira mentioned her first life. Think about the harm that she could do going all the way back to the beginning. And if they're responsible, they feel like they now have a duty to stop her. So their new mission is to find this rogue Moira, to put her down by any means necessary. And this is what takes us into issue number 3. We see our heroes jumped into a almost Egyptian-like timeline. This is Moira's 9th life. They have arrived at Apocalypse's throne room, and Moira is married to Apocalypse. Immediately, Apocalypse, he sends his goons after them to annihilate them right here, right now on the spot. Luckily, they're able to get out of here just in the nick of time, taking us back to the Atlantic Krakoa currently inside the White Hot Room. This was obviously not the life that they needed to get to. This is going in the wrong direction, and he screams out for Rachel to send them again, but everybody else, they kind of want to take a breather. The way Prodigy sees it, they don't have time to waste. That was Moira's 9th life. He didn't pick up anything from her about a Dominion before they had jumped out of there, which means the only goal of their mission now is finding and stopping the rogue Moira. This is where Rachel chimes in and they let her know that there's been a complication. Even if they can't gather information to use against the Dominion, they still need to reach the other past lives, because they are not the only one traveling to Moira's past lives now. This is where we get an image of Moira's 10th life, the life that is currently being led. We see Cyclops going on trial. She has been jumping all over the place trying to find her first life, and she is closing in. She has been to her 8th, her 7th, her 9th. She has visited her 3rd. It is only a matter of time before she lands on the 1st. No matter what the case, they know that they have to go back. And Rachel tries to let them know that we don't even know where we're going to be dropping you. But she completed her black hole weapon. Prodigy wasn't supposed to get this glowing rock stuck in his chest, but it happened. Now Xavier is on the verge of speaking to Moira, the one in her 10th life where she is still a child. Everything depends on him getting through to her and changing her mind. It is their best chance. If the rogue Moira affects this in any way, changes her past, finds her way to Xavier right now, everything could be destroyed. As we quickly get a glimpse at Moira's 2nd life, at Moira's 4th life. She is more of an observer in these lives than anything else, passing through until she can get to the very beginning. But the team all agrees that it is time to head out. It is time to go find her and deal with this. They know where she's gonna be. She is headed for the first life. That gives them something to aim at, considering her first life was pretty uneventful. It didn't stretch 1,000 years or anything like that, so it might be a little bit easier to find. This is what takes us to Moira's 6th life. We are on what is known as the Preserve, year 999. The rogue Moira has shown up. She finds herself going toe-to-toe with Wolverine, with Rachel sending them out. We pick up far away on Earth's moon. We have a Moira sitting here being observed by Dr. McCoy, aka Beast. As the alarms go off with the dead X-Men team making their arrival, they think that this is another Sentinel attack. They are doing everything they can to protect this Moira. This is Moira's 5th life. But this time, Moira has the X-Men defending her. Banshee, Sway, Wolfbane, Psylocke, and Cyclops. And with them just being freshly attacked, they don't trust anybody, even if they look like people they may know. So this X-Men team, they attack the dead X-Men, with Frenzy battling against Psylocke. Frenzy is trying to let her know that we are not here to fight you, that we are here looking for something else. And Frenzy tells her to look in my mind, to read my thoughts and show me what you see. Tell me what you think we are after here. That if you simply looked into my mind, you would know exactly what I'm looking for. But it is already too late because she is here. As they turn around, this is where they see the rogue Moira, wielding her Mysterium battle axe. This is where everything ends. Alright gang, so as we dive into Moira's 5th life, Cyborg Moira shows up. Braddock and our dead X-Men team, they face off against her. But with a portal opened up, one of them grab hold of Cyborg and they say for Rachel to bring them home. And in this, Prodigy is able to see every single life. Everything Moira has ever experienced. He gets all of this in an instant. This is where we dive into the mind of Rachel and Cyborg Moira. It's kind of a bit of both their minds. While Moira has very strong psychic defenses, It's nothing that Summers can't bring down, but she doesn't want to break her. At this point, Moira is already beyond broken. Moira is asking who is at fault, that she gave lifetimes to find a way for mutants to win. She sacrificed everything, and it doesn't appear it's gonna matter. You see, Rachel, she's very angry right now. She just found out that she had been lied to by Charles, something that she should have anticipated. She helped him find a way back to a version of Moira that was vulnerable, and now she knows that he plans on shooting that child in the head. Now, right this very second, Rachel doesn't necessarily care what happens to Moira in any version of her, but if that child dies, so does everything her friends and her have ever known. So she has no time to waste on monsters like this cyborg Moira, being cast down to the Moira Engine Timeline 2.4. As they fall down to the ground, we see the cyborg Moira throws her weapon and it lands in the back of Dazzler. Now the X-Men team is ready to rip her to pieces. They hold nothing back, and while they battle, this is where we have Orbis of this timeline. He is the one that is about to make his ascension. As he is about to ascend, we see Prodigy floating up with him, the crystal embedded in his chest. It is all part of Orbis's plan, while Frenzy and the others do everything they can to hold off this cyborg Moira. She's getting some punches in, but overall, the dead X-Men team, they're taking her to shop. She doesn't have enough power to jump anymore, but she's got enough power in her axe to take down everybody with her. The goal now is to try not to get hit by black hole energy. This is where we see Dazzler get up, using her powers, taking down Moira, figuring out the limits to her beating death thing. Smashed to a pulp by Nimrod equals death. Taking a battle axe to the back, live to fight another day. Taking in all the sonic energy of the battle, that definitely helped out. Above the battlefield, we have Orbis and Prodigy. This shard that has been in Prodigy's chest is the Macron crystal. This is what is going to help Orbis ascend to his dominionhood. Every fragment of this crystal is the totality of the crystal. Every individual is the whole. But Prodigy isn't too concerned. When the rock had been ripped out of his chest, he got a special message, and he thinks that everything is gonna be okay. As they all grab hands and let Rachel know that they are ready, Orbis goes to ascend only to find out that there is already a Dominion, something that he had never planned for. And as for Cyborg Moira, they drop in the heavy payload. You see, the Starjammer had came in, and aboard that ship was none other than Juggernaut. They drop the payload in, and he completely obliterates this Moira, with our heroes currently picking up in the Atlantic Krakoa currently housed in the White Hot Room. For them, it feels like a hurricane. And this is all because of Rachel. Xavier played all of them. He never intended to talk to Moira. He went back in time to kill her before her powers had manifested. He decided for everybody what would be the best chance against the Dominion. That was to prevent Krakoa from ever existing. Rasputin already sent to try and stop him, but he's got Sinister by his side. Everything is falling apart. And if Xavier pulls the trigger, everything resets. Everything that they have ever known. Now, the Dead X-Men team, this is where they have a conversation trying to figure out what they're gonna do and how they're gonna do it. For Prodigy, he is the one who has had to live with Moira in his head. Her view of the world is just as cold as Xavier's. They both look at the big picture. They don't care about the little people it costs to achieve the vision. In the Moira Engine timeline, a piece of the crystal got embedded in his chest. His unlocked powers stopped hurting the moment it hit him, and the crystal spoke to him. It told him the individual in the whole situation. Every single one of them matters. And even if it's impossible, every life is worth fighting for. With Rachel telling him that the crystal is the nexus of realities itself. The White Hot Room exists inside of it. Every fragment of the crystal is effectively the entirety of the crystal. It doesn't subdivide. Each individual is the whole. And so bringing the shard of the crystal through defunct timelines and back inside of itself, all while absorbing the impressions of the lives around them. He made a circuit. Xavier had 3 plans to stop the Dominion. The first failed. The second is murdering Moira and undoing Krakoa. The third, the impossible, manifesting the Phoenix. Doing so on a scale never accomplished before. But what Prodigy has done with the crystal bonded to him and every lifetime he passed through, he brought it into himself. 10 lifetimes of mutant experiences, 10 lifetimes of fighting the fight. Every individual is a whole, and they have touched every individual ever. He has given them the kindling they need to light the pyre. But this is still the longest of shots. They still need Rachel's mother to make this work, but their odds are no longer zero, and all they ever need is a fighting chance. Now they have to wonder, can they convince Charles to change his mind? And so Rachel telling them to buckle up, that they got one shot. They're about to get looped into the mother of all conference calls, as we pick up in Moira's 10th life with Moira, a little girl, and Charles holding that pistol getting ready to gun her down. Rachel letting Charles know that he may not need to explain anything to anyone, but that anyone wants to explain things to Charles. The dead X-Men want to talk about the dream, about Krakoa, about what it means, and why Charles can't simply wipe it away. They are telling him it is time for him to listen, and that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. So this is an interesting turn of events. What Rachel has done prior to her death, because we gotta remember, we're messing with time here on a crazy aspect. So in the Dead X-Men books, Rasputin has gone after Charles, but Charles hasn't come back yet to kill her. And then Rachel drops them at the moment where Charles is having a conversation with Moira before Rasputin shows up. So I figure there's two ways we can look at this. Is that Rachel tried this, the Dead X-Men failed, and when Charles returns, he guns down Rachel. Kind of a nail in the coffin, ensuring that the Phoenix isn't gonna return. And then, as we saw in Fall of the House of X issue number 4, the last video I just covered, Charles then goes to the machines. Or, Charles went to the machines, all that went into play, but the Dead X-Men, they essentially, with the help of Rachel, go back in time, and then they try to stop him from doing what he's about to do. I'm more inclined to believe that the Dead X-Men, they do interfere, but it's not enough to stop Charles, and that is why he ends up gunning down Rachel, and then making his way to the machines like we saw with Fall of the House of X issue number 4. And now his play is no more humans. He is going to help the machines take down humanity, all in the hopes that they will hold true to their deal, that Krakoa, his dream, can still exist, that they will live in peace, and any violence from them will be met with the death penalty. He does all of this in the hopes that something can survive this, because Charles has lost all hope. He is scared, he is petrified, and he is willing to make any kind of deal and make everybody simply deal with it. All of this will be continuing on in the next issue of Rise of the House of X. As these stories begin to come to a close, it is definitely heating up, and I am excited to see how all of it comes to a close. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything going on with this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description, as well as the top of this video. It is going to get you completely caught up on everything going on with Fall of the House of X. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.